Roger Waters betrayed his own band. In 1983, he forced out Pink Floyd's keyboardist, Rick Wright, the man who helped craft their legendary sound. The same hands that built the dream were now tearing it apart. What was really happening behind the scenes? To understand, we need to go back to where it all began. When Syd Barrett left Pink Floyd in 1968, the band was finished. Barrett was their creative genius, their songwriter, their voice. Without him, Pink Floyd was just three guys with instruments and no direction. That's when Roger Waters stepped up. This is where the real Pink Floyd story begins. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. You know, when you think about Pink Floyd, Roger Waters had a massive impact. The big question is, was he the creative genius who made them legendary, or did his ego take over and push everyone else aside? Waters got to work right away. In 1968, on the album A Saucer Full of Secrets, he wrote, "Set the controls for the heart of the sun." It was dark, moody, and totally different from Barrett's usual style. Waters took inspiration from books, news, and war stories. By 1970, he even built his own home studio to record demo tracks. While most bands were singing about love, Waters was already writing songs about death and feeling alone. He wrote songs for every early album. In 1969, he wrote Green is the Color, and Cymbeline that same year on Ummagumma. He created a 20-minute acoustic piece called Grantchester Meadows. Then, in 1971 on Metal, he helped shape Echoes, which is a 23-minute track that filled one whole side of the record. Who would have guessed that one album could change everything? In 1973, Waters came up with The Dark Side of the Moon, writing songs about time, money, and losing your mind. It sold over 40 million copies and made the band very rich. Then in 1975, Wish You Were Here was released, Waters' way of paying tribute to Syd Barrett. The song Shine On You Crazy Diamond was a heartfelt goodbye to their old friend, but Waters didn't just stop with sadness. With songs like Welcome to the Machine and Have a Cigar, he spoke up against the music business, saying it was all about money and fake deals. By the time Waters was in his late 20s, they weren't making music just for the sake of it. Each album had a message, and every song played a part in telling a bigger story. On stage, Waters was serious and focused, often explaining what each song meant. What happens when one guy's vision starts driving everything a band does? By the mid-1970s, he was working so hard that he earned a lot of respect in the music world. The Dark Side of the Moon was built around his new ideas. By 1977, Animals was fully Roger Waters' vision. He took charge of every new Pink Floyd album, every live show, and even the visuals. He wanted everything to be perfect. Long rehearsals, exact sound mixes, special props, and custom lighting. Waters was calling all the shots. Pink Floyd's music became the exact story Waters wanted to tell. When The Wall came out in 1979, Waters had total control. He wrote almost every word and note on the album. He added his own fears and childhood memories into the music, and during those recording sessions, he fired Rick Wright. Yep, you heard that right. He kicked out the guy who helped start the band. To Waters, Pink Floyd was now his project. He made sure that every song followed his vision. Wright later said that Waters' ego just kept growing. Losing his place in the band felt like a nightmare to him, but Waters didn't seem to care. David Gilmour wanted to sing more and share his own ideas, but Waters refused to meet halfway. By the time The Wall came out, Waters had written almost 80% of it. Waters also began adding things like orchestras, saxophones, and even children choirs to the music. He believed he had earned the right to take full control. In his mind, he was the creative brain, the one pushing everything forward. By now, Pink Floyd felt more like Roger Waters and whoever else was around, and he was totally fine with that. So what do you do when the leader walks out, but the band's not ready to quit? The answer is that by the early 1980s, the tension was crushing everyone. Rick Wright was already gone. The final cut came out in 1983 with Waters writing every single song, and behind the scenes, fights were breaking out constantly. Then in 1985, Waters made his move. He told the press Pink Floyd had become a spent force, creatively, and quit the band. But just quitting wasn't enough for Waters. He actually took David Gilmour and Nick Mason to court, trying to shut down Pink Floyd for good. But they didn't give up that easily and fought back, and the legal battle went on for 2 years. In the end, by late 1987, they reached a deal. Gilmour and Mason got to keep using the Pink Floyd name, while Waters kept the rights to The Wall. Later on, Waters even admitted that he was wrong to sue them. Then something unexpected happened next. Gilmour and Mason brought Rick Wright back into the lineup. In 1987, they released A Momentary Lapse of Reason, the first Pink Floyd album without Waters. It had hit songs and went on sold-out tours, Pink Floyd was alive and successful without the man who had controlled them for over a decade. Waters was now watching from the outside. The band he had shaped, controlled, and essentially owned was carrying on without him. The split was brutal. Waters felt like the others had turned their backs on what Pink Floyd was all about. But Gilmour and Mason just didn't want the music to fade away. Is it fair to say that this was just destiny? Waters had to start over, solo career from scratch. The friendships inside Pink Floyd were destroyed. The band he once led was completely out of his control, and there was nothing he could do about it. Pretty crazy so far, right? Just imagine how wild it's gonna get by the end. Before we go deep, take a moment to think, or maybe even talk to a fellow music fan. Waters didn't give up quietly. He kept demanding more money and rights from Pink Floyd. He kept talking about old disputes in interviews. In 1986, he released his first solo album, The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking. It got some attention, but it wasn't packing stadiums like Pink Floyd still was. So what's he going to do next? Well, now Waters focused all his energy on going on tour. He staged massive shows, especially performing The Wall live in stadiums worldwide. These concerts were huge productions with inflatable pigs and giant walls built on stage every night. Waters was proving that he could star without Pink Floyd. The only question left is, can he actually succeed? But he didn't stop criticizing his former band. He told Rolling Stone the new Pink Floyd songs were poor and Gilmour's lyrics were third-rate. The feud got so silly that they even ended up in court over Pink Floyd's flying pig balloon. To make fun of Waters, the band added giant male parts to the pig. At that point, the split wasn't just serious, it had turned into a public joke. Waters released more solo albums, Radio Chaos in 1987 and Ambushed to Death in 1992, experimenting with new sounds, but none matched his Pink Floyd success. In July of 1990, he staged an epic free performance of The Wall in Berlin, right where the real Wall once stood, blending music and history before a massive crowd. Then came 2005's shock reunion at Live 8. Waters, Gilmour, Mason, and Wright played together for the first time in decades. Fans went wild, but backstage, tensions flared. Gilmour later said it confirmed they never tour again. Waters didn't stop. In 2010, he brought The Wall back as a huge world tour, building The Wall on stage every night. The tour went on for years, showing that his music could still pull in big crowds, even without the Pink Floyd name. Then, in 2017, he released Is This the Life We Really Want?, which became an album full of political messages. His fans liked it, but it didn't come close to the massive success of Pink Floyd's biggest days. He was the all-in-all, but could Roger Waters survive without Pink Floyd? In 2005, Waters stood on the Live 8 stage in London. For the first time in a long while, he was back with Gilmour, Wright, and Mason, together under the lights again. The crowd was cheering, but Waters felt the old pain. He was already incredibly rich by then, and his net worth was estimated at around $310 million. But none of that wealth could bring back what he had lost. Waters had once been the creative force behind Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, Animals, and The Wall. By 2005, he was performing alone. He later admitted that he had gone through a bad negative time and regretted his part in the breakup. He said no amount of money could make up for the lack of respect. Was Roger Waters a true visionary leader, or just another ego that destroyed greatness? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you're into stories like this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe.